What's going on? Welcome to a bonus episode, I suppose, of Adult Education. We'll call this an update version of the show. My name is Jeff St. Pierre, host of Adult Education. I'd like to start this little message off by saying thank you. Thank you for listening to Adult Education. Thank you for your support over the last 3 years. It's wild to me to think that I launched this podcast back in 2020. So much has changed in that time period. I mean, the first episode of Adult Education, which at the time was called Be More Well, had slightly different goals in mind and came out before COVID was a daily conversation. The first episode launched in January of 2020. It was before I became a parent, before so many things have changed in this world. And the podcast has also changed and evolved over the last 3 years. It started out as a wellness-focused show. After about a year and a half, I decided that was no longer the world that I wanted to have this show living in. I changed the name to Adult Education, shifted more to in-depth conversations with experts on a variety of topics. I do still have health and wellness-oriented conversations with people, but I'm more interested in learning about everything, really. Being labeled as just a wellness podcast, I felt kept me kind of closed in a box. So changing to Adult Education has given me the opportunity to try some new things. One of those things has been to use my contacts from the music industry. You may have noticed over the last year that I've started welcoming more musical artists on the show. I'd been really hesitant to do this before because I didn't want to abuse my relationships. I don't know if you have this where you've got a friend that works or does something that you think is really cool and you're like, I don't know, should I ask them for a favor? Should I ask them for those concert tickets or for that food or whatever it may be? You feel like you're going to abuse the relationship by asking for a favor. That's how I felt. But then one day I was talking to an artist friend of mine and she was like, look, I think you're overthinking this. I think you don't understand. Like, we'd rather talk to somebody that we know, like you, versus a stranger that we don't know. So please ask us, invite us on the show, have us on to talk about things. So I've been really trying to branch out and do more of that. Another change on Adult Education is what's coming up here in the near future. So I'm a music guy. You've probably figured that out by now. Music is what got me into my career in broadcasting in the first place, and it's what's been inspiring me as of late. So I'm adding a couple of new things to Adult Education that'll be more music-based. The first thing is going to be something that I'm tentatively calling Adult Education Visor Library. I'm 41 years old, so I started driving in the mid-90s, and at that time, everyone had one of those CD holders that they strapped to the sun visor in their car. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody inevitably had a couple of big hit albums and a few mixes, and of course, one of those Now Music volumes at some point in their car. Now, these visors stuck around into the early 2000s before people started plugging their iPods and phones into the car. Visor Library is going to be a weekly look at an album that I would have in my car at one point or another. My goal is to start with A and work my way to Z, and we'll see how it goes. Now, most of these albums are going to be from the 90s and early 2000s because that was my world. And again, these are my picks. I'm not going to tell you that what I choose is going to be the best of anything. They're just my personal favorites. I kind of hope this creates some conversation, and I want to hear more from all of you about the CDs and the albums that you would have in yours. And I hope to bring some special guests in to be a part of these conversations as well. I think that'd be really fun to hear right from other people what was in their CD visor. Now, if you do listen to this particular show when it comes out, you may notice that it sounds familiar and it sounds like another show. I've been inspired by a couple of other podcasts and shows that I keep up on. One of those is called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. I love this show, and I love the person that created it, Rob Harvilla. I think he does a fantastic job. I'm not going to be that good because the one thing that somebody like Rob Harvilla has on me is that he's a writer. I am not a writer. I would certainly not put creative writing and let's say using adjectives as something that's my strength if I were building a resume, not my thing. So Visor Library is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me that I think could be good. I think it'll be fun to test out some of these skills and hopefully grow a little bit. And I'm also going to be really vulnerable on this. I said that to a friend and they were like, how is talking about music making you vulnerable? I don't know how to describe it really, but I think it is, because think about the music that you love, the music that inspires you. It's very personal to you. In Visor Library, I'm going to be giving you the personal stories that tie me to the specific albums of music that I'm talking about. Why does that album or artist or song mean so much to me? And I think that's vulnerability. So I'm excited to have these moments with y'all when I launch this podcast, Adult Education Visor Library. I do plan on launching this before the end of February, but no specific date yet. I'm also planning on having a new episode each Monday once I get things rolling. The other thing that I've been toying with is a kind of top 5 show. This also will be music based, and I think it's going to be a Spotify exclusive. By only posting it on Spotify, I can use the music. There are really strict rules about song clips and podcasts and how much you can use and how much you can't. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I'm on there at St. Pierre on Air. Last week, I posted a reel where I looked at my top 5 personal favorite Third Eye Blind songs. It was a lot of fun to make, and I noticed a lot of comments coming in. That made me realize that people love to talk about these things and share their opinions and share their favorites. So I'm working on this other show that's going to take a look at my top 5 songs from particular artists or themes, like, I don't know, top 5 songs that make me cry or whatever. I'm still working this one out to make sure that I do it right, but hopefully that'll be coming soon. Even though I'm adding these features to the adult education library, I'm still keeping the interviews that have gotten me here. I love talking to people and learning more about their history and their craft. I've got some great conversations coming up. Let's see, on the calendar right now, I've got a comedian, somebody with expertise in space travel, a relationship expert, and just so many other cool things coming your way. So I'm really stoked for the future of adult education. I hope you're going to stick with the show and have fun with me. It's taken me a long time to realize this, but this is all about fun. I want people to listen to adult education and enjoy themselves. I have fun putting this show together. I want you to join me in that. So thank you so much for listening to me on adult education. Before you switch over to another show right now, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating for this show. And if you have the option, write a little review. I appreciate you. Thank you again. Until next time, be well.